Hello, I'm Dayle, also known as the Witch of YYC, and I just want to talk today about this concept of demons or negatively polarized entities and their purpose, their role, their effects on this realm, and all of the good people within it. And this has been coming up for me personally and within the past few days. So it's really timely, it's really relevant. I think people are experiencing these kinds of entities and energies pretty frequently right now. And for me, it's something that I've been aware of and I've experienced ever since I was very, very little. Around, I don't know, even 4 or 5 years old, I could see these energies, these entities, and have been dealing with them in various ways ever since. And whether you think that demons or these negative entities and these energies are literal entities or manifestations of trauma, abuse, the shadow, the psyche that become real, whether, like, regardless of what you think that these are, I think that all of those interpretations are equally valid and legitimate and can be one and the same. So I do believe that a manifestation of your shadow, for example, can turn into an entity, or that an entity can come into your life to shine light on a shadow that is maybe hidden or something that you're being called to transmute. Which brings me to what I think that these energies and entities are here for and why they're manifesting. So ultimately, this is my opinion, and maybe that's just a disclaimer I should throw out there. Everything that I'm sharing right now is based on my experience, my observation, my experimentation, and what I have researched upon, gathered in terms of knowledge and information, whether it's from the mysteries, from the occult, from religion, you name it. I deep dive into these things, and I take what resonates and leave the rest. Maybe we'll return to the rest. I always have an open mind about these kinds of things, and I'm a life path 7 for anyone who might know what that means. But basically, I need to gather all the information. I need to know everything. I'm always asking questions. I want to get deeper. What are the layers? And this is definitely one of those things, since it has been such a prevalent thing in my life forever. And okay, that was a bit of a side. The point is that this is my opinion. Take what resonates, if anything, and leave the rest. And if you have, an opinion that differs, or you want to share in the conversation, I love to hear that. Because again, I love to take in the information, and I have an open mind, and I never just look at something from one angle. So if you have other angles, I would love to hear them. Okay, so people have been experiencing demons or negatively polarized energies and entities, and this seems to be ramping up. There are tons of videos out there about demonic possessions, about people seeing like entities, skinwalkers, different kinds of forms and beings and interdimensional beings, aliens, like you name it. It's out there. And it does seem, maybe it's just because we have access to so much information that it feels like it's increasing, but maybe not, right? Because if we look at history, if we can look at history, you know, whatever your opinions and views are on that, then we see there are cases of this throughout. Okay, but my personal opinion as to what's happening right now within the spiritual war is that we are, a lot of us collectively, are working towards creating this golden age, bringing forth the love, the light, the joy, the gratitude, the bliss, the peace, the harmony within humanity, within the collective. But in order to do that, there's a lot of shadow, there's a lot of darkness that needs to be transmuted and alchemized to bring into the light. What all that is hidden will be brought to light. And I think that we're seeing a lot of that right now, which means that all that is hidden is being brought out into the open, is being brought to light, and we are seeing these shadows, we are seeing these demons, both figuratively and literally. It's all popping all over the show, and so I think that that's part of it. So I think that that's what we're seeing, and also, that being said, I do believe that there are actual entities, energies, spirits, whatever you want to call them, that are being brought into this realm from other realms for dark purposes. Okay. I'm going to let that sit there for a second because that is something that I do believe. And you may not, which is cool. But regardless of whether these are shadows or entities, whatever these demons are at the basis of it, it's my belief that energetically they are neutral. They're neutral. They are not good or evil, right? They can be used for what looks like to be nefarious and evil purposes. But I feel ultimately their role, like that's their role in this realm. And what they are meant to do is to trigger awakening, awareness, alchemization. They're here to shine a light in the darkness so that we can see, okay, what is it that I need to work on? Whether personally, for myself, for humanity, or as a collective, what do we need to work on in order to reach these higher levels of consciousness and awareness and transcend? Okay. Everything has a role, whether good or evil, and it just falls on the spectrum, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion, because it's going to help us to usher in these higher frequencies, if that makes sense. Okay. We need it, right? If we didn't have these energies, how would we know what needs to be transmuted? How would we know? Because these shadows, or these demons, whatever we want to call them, feed on these lower vibrational emotions, whatever you want to call them: fear, lust, guilt, shame, anger, so on and so forth, greed, all of these things, right? So fear is a really big one, because our fears tend to show us where we still need to do some work. There's usually something underneath that as well. And all these other emotions are there to show us, okay, like, what are we addicted to? What are we attached to? Where do we need to let go? Where are we still holding on to control? Where are we trying to control others? Where are we, what are our blind spots, right? And I think that that's what a lot of these emotions show us, what our blind spots are, or where we're operating in these lower frequencies, where we're operating from frequencies of lack or scarcity or jealousy, envy, pride, low self-worth, all these programs that are sitting within our subconscious, individually and collectively as a whole. There's tons. And that's what I personally feel that the role of these demons or these negatively polarized entities is to show us these spots, and then boom, we can transmute, we can work through them. Not something to be feared, something to, you maybe have heard this before, like I've made friends with my demons, because even though they come from this dark place and they can be really scary and intense, I feel that ultimately they're here for your highest good in a twisted sense. And the more that you make friends with your demons, the more that you're maybe even proactively looking in these areas, the less they're going to show up in your life, right? At least that's been my experience. So I still, to this day, have what I would call spiritual attacks, or these demonic influences, intrusive thoughts, things like that that pop in because they're showing me, obviously my work is not done. I still have so far to go. But I think I'm getting there and I'm figuring it out. And I think that this is one of those keys. I'm not afraid of it when it pops in. Instead now I look at it with this perspective, and I'm like, okay, what is this showing me? What is this shining light on? What is it teaching me? Where am I not looking? What are my blind spots? And what do I need to do in order to slay this demon? I think that that's the work. That's the important stuff. And that being said, I also think that there's moments when we're just not ready to go there. Like it's coming up, but maybe there's a lot going on, or it's too scary, or there's too much trauma, or we're just under so much pressure and under so much weight where we're just not ready to deal with, to work with, to slay these demons. And that's when I think, energetic work from someone who's experienced in this kind of thing, when they can go into these different realms, the lower realms, the astral realms, the 4D, things like that, and set energetic protections, do what we would maybe call like more shamanic work to remove these energies from your field, in a forceful kind of way, knowing that doesn't mean that they're gone forever, that there's still work, inner work that needs to be done. And hopefully that gives you space to deal with what you need to deal with. And then you'll get to the point where you can do that inner work and you can really slay that demon for good. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say with that. So I think that there is some validity to that as well. And if you need that, cool. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with right now. I feel that things are being ramped up. We're seeing all the darkness that's coming to light throughout the entire world, and it's heavy. It is dense. And it's a lot for one person to carry, which is often how we feel. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I think we all kind of feel that way at some point or another, in particular with the media and social media and how much access to information that we have. but also on an energetic level. A lot of us are opening up to our empathic gifts, and are susceptible and vulnerable to the energies that are out there. And we're feeling very viscerally the pressure that is on the collective right now. And so, I mean, it's a lot. And it makes sense. So if you're experiencing these kinds of things, and you have questions about it, or you're looking for support, let me know. Again, this is something I've been working with my entire life, and I'm really laser focused into it right now. And I have a lot of thoughts and opinions and experience in this. So if you have any questions, reach out, comments, thoughts, any other ideas or ways that we can support each other, pop them down below. I love to hear it. And if there's anything that I missed, because I've honestly just been riffing here, I don't have any notes. I'm just going off what's coming in. And so there may be follow-ups to this video, which I'm thinking that there probably are. So if you have questions or we want to go deeper, let me know. And thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.